Worried about your drinking? Reserve your place on today's free Quit Drinking webinar and get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for turning up. www.stopdrinkingexpert.com. Hey, how you doing? This is Craig Beck from stopdrinkingexpert.com, the website that helps people just like you to escape the loop of problem drinking without any of the usual nonsense, without any silly gimmicks, without any embarrassing group meetings, without any dangerous medication. It works. Over 250,000 people now sober, over 14 years of doing this. Nearly 14 years. So if you're worried about your drinking, do yourself a huge favor. Go to the website, stopdrinkingexpert.com, and sign up for today's free Quit Drinking webinar. I will even give you a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a free gift, just for turning up and staying till the end. So today, got a very interesting email from Tracy, who's done the course successfully. She is now 6 months sober. So first of all, congratulations, Tracy. I mean, basically a 15-year serious drinking problem resolved. And she is very, very happy with sobriety. She's reporting significant changes in her life. Things that she once enjoyed that she'd left behind are returning. Health is better. Weight is down. Everything is better. But her email was short and to the point, and she simply said, I quit drinking, but now I hate my husband. What am I going to do? which is kind of intriguing and unfortunately not uncommon. And let me explain why. Alcohol is very good at covering up problems. We tend as drinkers to believe that alcohol makes our problems go away. And then that's certainly what the drug tells us. You know, this is how the drug weaves itself into our lives. And the fact is, most problem drinkers, as opposed to full-blown alcoholics, are using alcohol to escape some sort of psychological pain. That's pretty much 99% of the people who come to my website. They are unconsciously using alcohol to cover up some other pain in their life. And it's different for everyone. That's why this is such a complicated problem, in that if we were all trying to cover up exactly the same pain, it would be an easy fix. But the fact is, everyone who comes to my website is using alcohol for a slightly different reason. And it can be anything from, being in an abusive relationship, being in a career that's going nowhere, having financial problems, having anxiety, depression, having physical pain. A lot of people are drinking because they are physically in pain, and they think that alcohol helps. And this is what the drug does. The drug whispers in our ear and says, whatever pain you're feeling, I can help you with that. And so you drink the alcohol, and yes, it appears to help. And we make an incorrect assumption at that point. We say, look, alcohol said it would help me, and it did help me. Therefore, it's something I need in my life. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't actually deal with the problem. It just covers up the problem temporarily. But now you have an additional problem because you're addicted to alcohol, which is a terrible problem in and of itself. So you had a big problem before that was causing you a lot of pain. You made it go away with alcohol. Now you have the original problem plus an additional problem. So if you look at it logically and you zoom out and you see it from, the 30,000-foot view, alcohol doesn't help at all. It makes everything worse. But when it comes to relationships, what alcohol is very good at doing is covering up the issues that are going on. It also, because it's a mild anesthetic, it renders you incapable of dealing with it. So what you can find is that you stay in a relationship that's broken for years, decades, sometimes forever, because A, you can't really see the problems anymore through the haze of alcohol, and B, you don't have the energy or intelligence, because alcohol's made you stupid, to deal with the problem. And I know this firsthand. Alcohol was a big part of my first marriage. And if I'm being totally honest with you here now, my marriage should have ended 10 years before it actually did. But I spent a decade zombified, not taking action, not even aware of the problem. And when I look at it, with hindsight, and I think, hang on a minute, Craig, you spent 3 years in separate beds, 3 years with no sex, no physical contact, no passion, no emotion, 3 years living in a house with another person under the pretense that you were in a marriage, that you were in a relationship. Why at the time did you not see how toxic and terrible that was? And the answer was because every day when I came home from work, the first thing I did was drink the zombie liquid, drink the liquid that made my problems go away. But of course, it didn't make my problems go away. They were all still there waiting for me when I quit drinking. And so, I've talked about this before. People say to me, Craig, you say when you quit drinking, your marriage ended. So isn't that a bad thing? Quitting drinking destroyed your marriage. No. Quitting drinking gave me the clarity to realize that I was deeply miserable and I'd been in an unhappy relationship for a very long time. And only when I got that clarity and energy was I able to go, look at my life. What needs fixing? Well, pretty much everything. My relationship, my finances, my career, everything's broken. So I need to fix everything. Excuse me. So Tracy said, I quit drinking. Now I hate my husband. First of all, it's important to disconnect the two things. It's not that quitting drinking caused a problem with your relationship, Tracy. It's just that for the first time in probably a long time, you have clarity. You are seeing what's really going on and you're not happy about it. Does this mean that your relationship has to end like mine did? And the answer, of course, is no. Because sometimes it might feel like ending the relationship is the easy option. It isn't. It's difficult. It's hard. It's going to take years. It's going to be traumatic. It's going to be painful. So if you can avoid that, if you think there's something to save, then you should work on that. I'm not a marriage guidance counselor. And if you think you need advice in that area, then you should seek it out locally. But look, just see the way you feel, that hatred. Try not to get wrapped up in that negative emotion. Try not to spend too much time actually hating your husband. He's not changed. He's probably always been like that. And it's just that you now have this clarity to see your relationship for what it is. And you have to take your own share of the responsibility here. For, I don't know how long you've been married, but I'm guessing for at least a decade of it, you have chosen to use alcohol to cover up the problem rather than deal with it. And so when you're hating on your husband, please remember that you have to take responsibility for the situation you are in. It is your job to fix it, not his job. It's nobody else's fault. It's not even your fault. It is just your responsibility. So take this feeling that you have now of looking at this disaster scene in front of you as a positive, because you can only fix problems that you can see, right? And for the first time in a very long time, you can now actually see what needs fixing. On top of that, you have the intelligence that you were born with. You are not taking a drug that makes you stupid. You have the intellectual processing power to fix this situation. That's either working things out with your husband, setting new boundaries, going to therapy together, working through all this process, or it's coming to the conclusion that this is the end of your relationship and you shouldn't be in it anymore. I always say to people, especially when they're living with another problem drinker or if they're living with an alcoholic, rule number one, put yourself first. Despite how much you love them, despite how much you want to help them, rule number one, put yourself first in this. Look after yourself, number one, because nobody else is going to do it. The drinker in your relationship is going to put alcohol first, not you. So somebody needs to look after you, and that better be you. All right. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is do not compromise on your standards. Set a line in the sand and say, these are my standards. This is what I'll accept and no more. And do not be pushed over that line. Do not be manipulated. Do not be persuaded. If you say to your husband, I'm never going to buy you alcohol. I'm never going to facilitate your drinking. I'm never going to pretend that I'm happy with you drinking. Then stick to that. Don't go and buy them alcohol. Don't ever break your rules on that. Okay. But Tracy, this is a good thing. It's a good thing. Trust me on that. It won't feel like it at the moment, but this is the point where you're now 6 months sober, where you do a little kind of review of your life. I want you to look at every area of your life and say, what am I happy with? What am I not happy with? If you go to the members area, you'll be able to add on an additional course called Unleashed from Alcohol, which is designed exactly for this. And it helps you do it's called a wheel of life. You take a look at your life and you give yourself a score for every area of your life. And the idea is you want that wheel to be able to turn. You want the spokes to be all the same length. If you find that you've got some spokes that are shorter because there's problems, then the wheel won't turn. And it helps you very visually and quickly identify the areas of your life where you need to put some work in. All right. So I hope that helps. If you are here because you're worried about your drinking, go to the website. Don't be a passenger. Be active. Take action. StopDrinkingExpert.com. See you in the next episode of the Happy Sober Podcast. Worried about your drinking? Reserve your place on today's free Quit Drinking webinar and get a copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for turning up. www.stopdrinkingexpert.com.